I am from Louisville, Kentucky, where I work as a professional engineer. I also serve as the active transportation service line leader and one of the owners of Gresham Smith. It's an architecture and engineering consulting firm. I'm representing not only the engineering profession today, but also the League of American Bicyclists, where I serve on their board of directors. But most importantly, today I come to you as a daily bicycle commuter. As little as a decade ago, I would be a very highly unlikely candidate to be talking to you about bicycle and pedestrian safety. However, as fate would have it, I found myself stuck in a car in construction traffic, watching pedestrians and bicyclists move across the 2nd Street Bridge, passing me. And so in a fit of frustration, I decided I would abandon my car on the side of the road and attempt to join them. Something serendipitous happened about halfway across that 2nd Street Bridge, though. I heard a bicycle bell, and as I looked over my shoulder, a bicyclist said, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" And in my current state of mind, I had a hard time matching his enthusiasm. And at that point, I had an epiphany. My choice of transportation that morning was negatively influencing my ability to enjoy myself. So I decided right then and there that the next day I was going to bike to work the next day. That was almost 8 years ago, and I'm pleased to say I've biked to work about every day since, and I now have a far better understanding of what it means to be joyful in a commute. But me as an engineer, that decision made me challenge myself in the decisions I was making in our public right-of-way that might impede or allow other folks to have a similar epiphany and enjoy themselves in their commute. And as most engineers will do, we dug into data, and what I found was quite alarming. Between 2008 and 2017, we saw pedestrian deaths increase by 35%, while pedestrians as a mode share only increased by 1%. What that tells me is that pedestrian deaths make up a vastly disproportionate amount of fatalities on our roadway. Bike fatalities are at their highest levels since the early 1990s, with a 3-year average increase of 14.7%. There are also direct ties to equity issues in our transportation network that relate also to fatalities. What we found is older adults, people of color, or people attempting to walk and bike in lower income communities are far disproportionately represented in fatalities as well. Part of this fix is education, and thankfully the League of American Bicyclists has formal training programs that educate about 60,000 bicycle riders about how better to engage in transportation in our corridors, stay visible, and ride with confidence. They've also formalized a bicycle-friendly driver program that better educates drivers on what to expect from bicyclists. However, education alone is not enough. Congress has a critical role in addressing policy and funding that allows people like me, engineers, to proactively design safer transportation systems. Nationwide, bicycling and walking make up approximately 12% of trips. They roughly make up 18% of fatalities, yet less than 1% of HSIP dollars are spent focusing on better bicycling and pedestrian infrastructure type projects to address these fatalities. States, and that's part of the reason is HSIP is the way it's set up. States are required to prioritize hotspots, basically pinpoints on a map that categorize how fatal accidents are happening in a location. But what we found too is that it's a straightforward approach, but it doesn't tell the entire story. There's other factors that determine if a pedestrian is going to be safe or a bicyclist is going to be safe, such as roadway classification, speed differential, geometry, as well as land use. All of these can be used as for data-driven approach to determine where safety issues are likely to occur or where future users will likely to encounter them. This is also not just an urban problem. We found that our rural areas also have a lot of difficulty implementing meaningful and safe multimodal connections. Today, I would like to suggest adding a special rule to HSIP that requires states to address vulnerable user safety where there's a high rate of fatalities related to vulnerable users. Despite increases in bicyclist and pedestrian fatalities nationwide, there are some good stories that come out of this. In some locations, states and cities are seeing decreases. Oregon, for instance, is a great example, having nearly a 31% decrease in the number of fatalities for bicyclists over a course of 2007 to 2016, despite a 46% increase in bike commuter trips. These results can be replicated through proactive policy, appropriate funding, education, and better engineered streets for all users. I appreciate your time and thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to answering